2 years ago, I decided to quit video games after almost 10 years of addiction. It all started back on my 6th birthday when my parents gifted me an iPad mini, and I loved it. I was instantly hooked. I got so many new games. I would talk about it to my friends at school when we were like 6 or 7 years old, and we would talk about our iPads and the games we were playing. I would wake up extra early on any weekend days or any days I had off just to play on my iPad. I started playing Minecraft after I convinced my parents to pay the $10, and I just became addicted to this iPad. And as a 6 or 7 year old kid, this was alright at the time. It was fine. I was just a little kid playing games on my iPad. What was wrong with this? But what I didn't realise was that this would lead to almost 10 years of addiction after that. Now, for years, I was addicted to this iPad. From age 6, 7, 8, all the way to 12 years old. For almost 7 years, I was addicted to playing my iPad all the time. But after 7 years, it all started to change. I started to dislike playing video games. I'd been playing the same game now for almost 7 years, and my life was starting to change. I felt like I was growing up. This was the year that I had just started high school. I got my first job later on in the year, and I felt like I was growing up. I felt like my life was changing. And that's because it was. And because of this, I started to slowly dislike video games. They became less fun. They weren't what they used to be. When I was a little kid, I remember them being so fun, and I was addicted to them, and I would spend 5 hours on them in the morning, get up at 6 o'clock to play video games on my iPad, and it was amazing. But by the time I was 12 years old, they just weren't what they used to be anymore. They weren't as fun as they used to be. And because of this, I started to dislike video games, and I started to play video games on my iPad less and less until one day I played Minecraft for the last time. And this was the time that I quit video games. I stopped playing video games. Now, this was in June of 2022. This was the year that I started high school, the year I got my first job. My life was changing, and with change, things start and things end. And the thing that was ending was my addiction to video games. When I was 12 years old in 2022, I quit video games. So, after all that time, I had finally quit playing video games. Then, for the next year and a bit, I didn't touch video games once. I was completely disconnected from video games. I started to see people talk about how bad video games were and why you should quit video games and why playing video games for too long can ruin your life. And I started to see all these negative things about video games, making me want to play them less and less. And as this continued, I started to dislike video games even more. And even though I wasn't playing them, I just didn't want to play them even more. So there was no chance of me going back to playing video games. There was no chance of me becoming addicted to these video games for a long time. Then, in late 2023, after not playing video games for more than a whole year, I played Minecraft for the first time again. And it brought back so much nostalgia. It brought back that piece of my childhood when that was so fun. But it just wasn't as fun as I remembered. And I knew that I was never going to be addicted to video games ever again. It was never going to have that spark that it used to have. Now, since then, I occasionally will go play Minecraft just for the nostalgia and for a couple hours, but after a few hours it gets boring. I hop off the game because I don't really enjoy it anymore. This has now been almost a year, and through occasionally playing these video games, I don't feel like I'm missing out. I don't feel like I'm holding back from anything. But I know that I'm not going to be addicted. I know that I don't play them much. I now play video games for maybe a few hours every couple of weeks, and only on the days that I really have nothing to do, or if it's a Saturday and everyone else is out and I have nothing to do. Now, quitting video games has changed my life. It has given me so much extra time to do so many different things. 6 months after I quit video games, I started working out and I started doing self-improvement. I started trying to improve my life. Now, if I was spending 4 hours every day playing Minecraft, I wouldn't have time to do this. But I do, because I quit video games. And that has just been one of the positives of quitting video games. All the time that I've gained since I've quit. Now, you may be thinking, did he quit video games on accident? And I kind of did. Video games were no longer fun for me, so I didn't want to play them anymore. I didn't want to play video games, and that was a big contributing factor. But it was also just kind of an accident. I didn't directly mean to quit video games. It wasn't like, I'm quitting video games, no more video games. It sort of just happened. And after a while, I realised that I've stopped playing video games. From the beginning of 2023, I would pride myself that I hadn't touched video games for months, and I didn't play video games for over a year. So yes, I kind of quit video games on accident, but after a while I made sure to continue my no video game streak for over a year. And now, after 2 years of quitting video games, I'm officially free from their grasp. I'm no longer addicted to video games, I haven't been for 2 years, and I don't think I ever will be. Now, you may still currently play video games, and that's okay if you're not addicted to it and you're not spending hours and hours every day. But I'm not here to convince you what you should and shouldn't do. I'm just here to inform you so you can make your own decision. So I'm going to quickly go through some of the negatives of video games and some of the reasons that I personally don't want to play video games because I've seen these negative effects. So if you want to know what some of the main negatives are of playing video games, just Google negatives of playing video games and you'll come up with the list. But here are some of the few things that I've found mainly off Google. Aggression, poor mental health, poor health, attention problems, addiction to video games, withdrawals, muscle atrophy, insomnia, social anxiety, depression and anxiety, eye strain. Now these are just some of the negatives that I found off Google, and These are all things that can come from playing video games. These are all negative things that can happen from playing video games. So it's okay to play video games, but please, please do not become addicted to them, because I became addicted to video games, and I became addicted to video games at a very young age. And it might not have been so harmful back then, but if I was still addicted to video games now, it would be a much worse situation. There is not as many things I could have been doing at 9 years old compared to what I can be doing now at 14 years old. So after all that, I hope you make the choice to stop playing video games, or stop playing video games for so long. An hour or two a day is fine, but most people don't, because once you start playing video games, you become addicted. It's like chocolate or any other addiction. Once you start, it's hard to stop. So please don't let yourself become addicted to video games. That's the story of why I quit video games, how I quit video games. I hope this video has been helpful to you guys, but other than that, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.